All right. So I might be able to edit some of this out after the fact that once this is uploaded. If not, it's cool. It's gonna be rough and dirty. You don't have to watch the whole video. What I'm doing here is just testing again. I know I kind of went into this before even going to Picarto of what place to start streaming from. And then the main reason I want to try this again is I sort of the one thing that does suck is for those that do participate in the streams, being able to have like an active chat is amazing. And so from what I know, I'll have to keep looking around. I believe this Google stuff does have that. If not, it's got the Q&A and all that. But the purpose of this one is I'm finishing up this Star Wars pinup here. You know, once the videos are done, and what's really cool is, and this would happen for streaming, any kind of streaming at all, right? Is that it's automatically uploaded to YouTube, right? And that like saves so much time. So it's pretty huge. So what I'm just trying to do here is just want to test out some stuff. I don't even think there's anybody in the chat here. This is just if it's recorded for you guys here. So let me just get this link. I just want to double check here just to see what people are seeing. Let's just mute that there. All right, cool. So that is there, and yeah, cool. Let's see if what happens when you click it. So it's pretty huge. So that's working. There's actually quite a bit of clicking here. So what I'll, yeah, whatever. I mean, we may as well just do this as we go. So there's no problem. I'm just gonna get a link here and send it out to people, and then we'll start coloring. So many, so many gross windows open right now. Okay, so let me just. Okay, so I think either that's I'm the viewer. There's somebody else here. Hello. Give me a second here. Just trying to fiddle with some stuff. Just gonna make a quick post here, and then we'll start coloring up some goodies. And here I'll actually zoom this out a little bit so you guys can see what we're gonna be working on today here. Hopefully the streaming is good. It's not all choppy and chuggy and stuff, but we'll see how it goes. See how it goes. No pressures. Testing out Google Hangout streaming. Such a weird name for it. And we'll get the link in here. I guess may as well start linking people to the YouTube link. So if anybody's listening after the fact here, and theoretically this does get uploaded and all that good stuff, if you guys know of any really cool links that will help help me learn how to possibly get some extra chats, or maybe you've come up with something that's, you know, you guys just know of something that's really cool with all that, so that I can make it much better for everybody, please let me know. So if you've done some digging around on your own, I mean, I've been doing some digging as well, but if there's something you guys have come across, please leave it in the comments below. That'd be awesome. And if not, I mean, that's fine too. It's not a huge deal. We'll keep looking around. Testing some live stream Google Hangouts action. Please come by to help me test. Linky poo, like that post. This is the boring stuff. Fortunately, I'm putting you guys through it too. It's the scuzzy kind of stuff. I mean, if we're lucky, actually, like I don't think there's too much time left on this image here. I mean, it is just flats right now. So what I was doing is Jaina, the girl on the left here, This is a commission too. I don't think I pointed that out. So I have to finish Jada in the background, or Mara Jade, sorry, in the background, and Jaina in the foreground, and then general shadows of everything. And I'm going to do like just a very, very quick like highlight, possibly in certain areas. Nothing too dramatic or drastic. Not the style that I like to be doing this sort of thing in. And from there, we should be, pretty much on point. And then what I might do, depending on how the time's looking and stuff, I have been trying my best to schedule in like at least a half hour to do excuse me, at least a half hour to do personal project stuff, which is Jessup King. And I did post a video from last week's, hey Donald, from last week's stream talking about the project, so it'd be cool to actually get some stuff going on. So it looks like we got a few viewers and stuff, so I'm going to be bouncing around just trying to describe it to you guys. I think more people are starting to use Google for streaming. I even looked at Twitch too. It's pretty cool stuff. However, if you are new, from what I've noticed anyway, there's right in the YouTube video, the window that you're watching right now, there's like a little pop-up information thing that should be right on the screen. You can just click that and it'll take you to the page where you can ask Q&A, and by all means, use that as a chat. I know it's probably not the same. Well, it's guaranteed not the same, but we'll see what we can do. Just trying to be as efficient as possible with if I can save some time with the uploads and stuff like that. But anyway, this commission's actually been taking a very long time because I've had to try and sneak in time whenever I can between client projects and stuff, which I always hate saying that stuff because it always makes it sound like, I don't know, I'm complaining that I have work to do, which is, I think there's two sides of that. There is like, it'd be nice to just be doing your own stuff, which you can. You can always just say no to work, right? But commissions, as much as they are fun, like this is I would never really do something like this ever on my own. Like it's just not something that. Not that I don't like Star Wars or anything, but I wouldn't think to put these two characters together in just like one of these kinds of shots, right? So what I like about commissions is they do offer like a little. There's two sides to it. One, I get to draw stuff that I normally. Usually, people ask for stuff that I don't normally draw, which might seem weird, right? Because people tend to like your stuff or something, and then they want you to draw that, right? But I like doing commissions for that. And the other part is when I'm fortunate enough to hear back from people saying they got it and if they like it and stuff. And sometimes I don't hear back from people, which makes me go, oh man, like, damn, I didn't do a good enough job for them to like, I didn't knock their socks off, kind of thing. And I know what that's like if you're spending money, especially on art. I think it takes a special kind of person to want to buy art, and that might seem weird, as artists, because we buy art all the time, right? And I've commissioned a couple artists myself after doing this sort of stuff, just to like, see how that process works. Like when people come up to you and they ask you for commissions and stuff, that's really cool. But at the same time, it's like I want to get commissions from people or comics from people and just see what they do. Like how are they getting things working for them? And as well is like, what's that experience like? Like if you stream, let's say right now for me, great example. So I'm streaming right now and there's a certain experience that gives you, but when you watch other people stream, you can see it on the other side. And what that does is it just sort of lends into like I don't know, there's like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a vicarious experience you can get through that just, you can bring it back into what you're doing and all that stuff. But anyway, going back to like the commissions part, what's really cool is when I do hear back from people and they really enjoy it, it's really exciting. And just to tie it back into what I was saying there, like when I've asked for a commission from artists that I really like, and they hook me up, and then you get home the one day and you got something in your mailbox, and you're just like, it's cool. There's something really cool there, like especially. Well, I don't think people are getting commissions from artists they don't like, but when you're able to get something from somebody you enjoy their work, maybe look up to them or something, but they took the time to do a commission for you, it's yours. Like I don't know, there's something really artsy fartsy and beautiful about that. So Anyway, I do notice that there's quite a bit of people coming back in now. Thank you guys for stopping in. We're just testing some goodies out tonight. By all means, if you're watching here on YouTube, there should be a little information bar right in, like if you mouse over the window that you're viewing the stream in, and you can click that, and it'll take you to, I think it's a showcase or an event page or something. And you can go ahead and go in there, and if you had any questions, by all means, just dump them in there and answer questions if you guys got them. Just a little update for Jessup King here. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. Something actually has come up. I got offered another potential client job, and I think I might take it. But what that means is sacrificing some personal project time, which is something I don't want to be doing necessarily. The money's really good if I'm able to get it. That's why I'm sort of like I kind of I don't want to just work for money all the time, but it's one of those rare opportunities where the money's very, very good, and you don't get those very often. I remember something my dad always, sort of told me just about like day jobs and stuff, really, not even art related at all, but take the money while you can get it, as long as it's not like you're you're giving something up. I guess I am kind of giving something up, right? Because if you're doing personal projects and that's just for you, and you're giving that away so that you can get some of that greasy money. But think if I can try to plan that and invest that money back into the art stuff a little bit more. I don't know, maybe go to some shows or the conventions and stuff next year. Who knows? But anyway, so that means Jessup King. What I wanted to do is not the project's not stopping or anything like that, but I wanted to have a mini comic done for a convention that's at the end of this month, and I was going to use that mini comic just to double as a couple things. One would be, that I could have an actual little mini comic to have at the convention, which would be really cool. To just prints and stuff. And the other part would be those would be intro pages to the webcomic once I click the old launch button. But again, this client project that's come up, it's sort of I would say put a wrench because it's my call, right? So I'm doing it myself. It's not this other outside source. So it's gonna be a very busy month. I don't know if I'll have it in time, which is kind of a bum out. But that's, I guess, again, that's on me. That's my call. So I can't be too upset about it. We got a really cool question here. I'm just gonna this I used to, what is it? Will Robson and I, we used to use this for Happy Sketch Time, streaming through Google and all that. So I am still relearning some of this stuff, but I apologize. You guys let me know. Like I said, this one's just sort of like a really gross tumble around everywhere. Just sort of figure this out as we go. So I'm going to select a good question here by Matthew Hobbs. Let me know if you guys want. Just post it as a question or whatever. How you guys, if you guys are able to see this on YouTube and stuff. And the other thing I wanted to do is we're just doing shadow work here. There's nothing too drastic. So I'm going to bring in a second window. This one I usually have in my second monitor here. I'm going to bring this here. I started trying to do this, but the Cintiq I'm using, right, it's the 12-inch one. So it's very tiny, and a lot of this room is, yeesh, this is valuable real estate. But when we're streaming, like I'm in here doing shadow work, like this is pretty lame to look at. At least over here, you can see the whole picture. Maybe we'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see as it's building up. Anyway, so let's answer Matthew's question. So, how do you know what to value your art as? And it's actually a really good question. It's a question I still ask. I think a lot of artists, a lot of artists ask that, and I don't know. It's it's a really weird question because I think the underlining thing that's a problem is that artists don't value their work high enough. Sorry for the sound here. The cat knocked over the garbage. See, we can't even. I'm going to stream while I'm doing housework, and you guys get to listen to me do it. Oh, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so what I was saying is, I don't think artists value, most artists anyway. I know there's quite a bit that value their stuff maybe too high, but I don't think artists value their work high enough. And somebody I look up to, I actually enjoy a lot of his work. and a lot of what he talks about is Kevin Cross. I hope you guys have heard of him. If not, just check him out on YouTube. I'd say he's most famous on YouTube for doing 100 Days of Making Comics, which a lot of people got into. I think I started that too. But like even what he says, and I agree, is if more of us artists started like asking for more money, it would become standardized that that's what art costs, you know, for certain things. But unfortunately, nobody wants to spend money. And a lot of people don't want to spend money on art, which is a shame because not that we deserve it or anything like that, but a lot of what we have to do, we have to create something that doesn't exist, right? Which is different. You know, if you're you know, I'm really going off topic here with your question. It'll hopefully all tie in, and I'll sort of round it away. But you know, like if you're a doctor or something, very prestigious. You know, it's an important profession for sure. Absolutely. I don't want to belittle that at all, and I don't mean to. But you go to school for a very long time, and then you become like a doctor, right? And you're able to help people and all that good stuff. And from there, you're valued, right? Like there's a value that's added there. Now, if you look at art, and this is arguable, but if you look at art, you could spend your whole life learning to draw, but there's a style to it, right? I don't know if there's style to being a doctor. You know, like, oh, this guy does, I don't know, massage therapy. This guy does massage therapy, but the style that he does it and the way he twists those wrists when he's getting in between the shoulder blades and stuff, like, oh man, he's so sick. So when it comes to the schooling on that stuff, like for doctors and all that, right? Like they just have to put in X amount of time, get the grades, and then they get paid for it. Whereas artists, I mean, you're going to be learning how to draw your entire life. So what's the value on that? What would you say is good? And I think most artists, all we say is all we want is enough to live, save some money, and possibly be able to do some personal work. You know, at least something. I don't know too many artists that just want to do other people's stuff all the time. I think most people do that because they want money. They need the money, right? So just to answer your question in like the easy the easy way, how do you know what to value your art as? The easiest recommendation I would do is be very critical of your stuff and be honest. Don't be brutal, but just be honest about your stuff and take a look online. Go check out DeviantArt, huge community there. Look on other sites as well and see what your favorite artists that you think you're comparable to, see what they're charging and go for it. Then you can start to go, you know, start playing around with it. Like it's kind of like any kind of business stuff where you're trying to sell anything. And it's going to take a lot of testing the waters. You know, like you're going to say, maybe I charge $100 for a pinup of inks and colors, let's just say, and they're selling really well. So maybe you go, okay, I'm going to do 200, and they drop quite a bit, but you're still getting them. So is that all you need? You just want those few? Like, what is it you're trying to get? Is it a lot of money? Is it surviving money? You know, like just to keep your belly full and a roof over your head? You got to know what you want. If it's just, I just want money, well, that's the easiest one. I think if it's easy, if you just want money, just keep working, keep doing what you're doing, and just keep sharing your stuff so that people know about you, and keep looking for work on forums and stuff, and you'll find that there's tons of people out there that want to or that need artists for comics. I don't think it's hard to get work in comics at all. I think what it's hard to do in comics is get what you think you deserve financially. And again, I think that's different. Well, I know it's different for everybody. But just for your own personal stuff, let's just say I would do that. I would check around online, see what the average is. It's not that hard. Just pick like I don't know. Literally go through DeviantArt. I just use as an example because it's such a huge art site and there's lots of people on there. Go over there and look at some of your favorite artists. See if in their little journal section or comment section if they've got open for commissions slots available. They're usually called over there. Check them out. See what they're charging. And write it down on a little piece of paper or whatever, and go to the next one. Go to the next one, and then when you're done, when you got like 10 to 20 of these, grab your calculator and then just add them all up. divide it by how many there are, and you get your averages, and then go from there and see what happens. I think the worst thing you could do is not do anything, because then you're not getting anything, right? And that's not good. I'd rather you do something or try to do something like that as opposed to being scared or I'm not sure what to do, and then that leading to not doing anything at all. It's sort of like that pressured. It's like you're being pressured and paralyzed at the same time, and that's the worst thing that you could possibly do. You don't want to be that guy or that girl. Everybody's work is worth something. Who wants to, like, I've seen people that draw really cool stick figures, and hear me out. Like they're rendered out actually, like rendered, like the ball in their head's rendered out a little bit. And there's some design added to it. And I won't say the name. I don't know if any of you guys have actually heard of them or not. I actually found them on DeviantArt, and they sell stuff like hotcakes. Like a lot of stuff. They sell a lot, and it's it's not cheap either. It's really premium prices. People pay for it. People pay for whatever they like, and that's, I think, one of the tricks is just remember is if you're not if you're not selling your stuff, like maybe what I've noticed too, like a lot of times it's not even the price you're asking. I could say this here, if you wanted this, if you wanted me to do this, it's $500. Let's say that's crazy, right? Like that's a lot of cash. I know it's a lot of cash, but hey, that's what my time is. We'll say, right? That's what I believe. Now, yeah, it could be very high and people won't pay for it. But the other angle to it is how many people even know that you're offering it, right? So if nobody's buying what you're initially asking for, like monetarily wise, start really marketing, like post, let people know, like daily, go check this stuff out, go buy this stuff. Guys, I have this available. And you'd be surprised how much, I forgot the color of the lightsaber. You'd be surprised how much just word of mouth is going to get you work. Hell, this lady here, fantastic lady, man. She's ordered like 6 to 8 commissions off me, all because if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I believe it's from Worlds in Peril, the project I was doing earlier this year. She just liked what she saw there, and that's a role playing book, like Dungeons and Dragons, but for superheroes. Now think about that for a second. Right, like I would like to be able to do comic book work, like a lot of comics, right? And I'm getting a lot of commission work from a project that's not, it's comic book related, but it's not comics, right? And that's very telling. And really all it is, again, right, is just I would never have gone to a market like that. Therefore, I never would have met this lady in particular, or the other people that I've done commissions for because of that project. And that's the thing. It's out there. That's really all it is. You'll hear some people even talk about doing the hustle, like being the businessman, going out there and just throwing your stuff in people's faces all the time, because you never know. Like that's how people are gonna know. You gotta market as well. This is none of the creative fun stuff that I'm talking about here. It's just grunt work. So anyway, I mean that was really long, but I hope that answered your question there. So thank you, Matthew. We had another question here. I think it's a shorter one here. And V is asking, speaking of happy sketch time, when will Will find time to chat again? Always great and inspiring covers. Yeah, I do miss those shows. I really do miss them. I don't want to say it was Will's fault that we haven't done them or anything, because there's 2 people, me and him, that were doing them, and I think there's just been a conflict of time, and I haven't really brought it up to Will, and he hasn't brought it up either. So I think it's pretty much, I don't want to say, well, it's dead right now because nothing's happening, but I don't know when it'll happen or if it'll happen. I'm not sure. Not too sure. But yeah, I haven't really been talking to Will too much either. I think he's just been very busy with life and his own projects and stuff like that. So I'm not sure, honestly, when the show will ever pick up again. I think it was probably more of just like one of those, I don't say convenient, but it worked for both of us at a certain time, and it was just really fun to do. And priorities are different for everybody. Everybody's kind of got to do what they got to do. You got to do what you want to do. What is it with art that you want, right? You have to put in extra hours to get your portfolio up to snuff, to show editors and things. Are you doing personal projects? Maybe you just want downtime. That's the reasons. So Yeah, I'm not too sure. I am gonna have to go over here just to tell you guys again here. There's some areas I thought I did all the flats for Mara here. I'm gonna have to add some grays to her costume. I forgot to color the lightsaber. And the actual kind of shading I'm doing here is just done with the lasso tool. I know it looks a little dark on your guys' screen, so I'll have to lighten this up because on my screen it looks fine. This Cintiq tends to have brightness is a little off. At least this little guy here. Let me just get a gray. Figure this out here. Okay, so let's go over to Marchade. I'm just going to actually bring up hue saturation window. I'm just going to crank the lightness up just a little bit, just so we can see her a little bit more. She is getting drowned out there. And let's change my adjustment layer here. Gray, just so we can lightsaber some color. Same color as her suit. I'll say this a couple more times. Hopefully, it doesn't bother you guys. But if you're watching here on YouTube, thanks for coming in. There should be if you mouse over the window here that you're watching, there should be a link to where you can ask some Q&A stuff. And by all means, don't be shy. Throw a question in there. And if I can answer it for you, it's cat's ass. All right, so looks like we got that pretty much good to go. Just lower this up again here, put the color balance on. Bring this up here. Actually, let me lower this. You guys don't really need to see that. What we'll do here is the X-wing. I'm going to put the, oops, I need that up here. Let's finish off with the shadows. I'm going to have to crop this image too, because you can see like how the X-wing just sort of stops. That's the cutoff, the trim, the page there. And we just need to shade the bottom. That's pretty much it. So let me know too, for those of you that are watching this, the recorded version here, if you guys even mind this. I know this only really affects the people that are that come to the show during the live stream. But if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, just let me know. Do you guys like it on here on Google Stream? One thing I did notice, and I did bring this up last time when I was trying to figure out a spot to move to, was the event page is actually pretty cool. You know, I wasn't a big Google fan, and I still hesitantly am, but I can't argue what it does well. And what it does well is make this sort of stuff much easier. So a great example, I know I've already said this a bunch of times, and I'm just gonna say it again, but when I'm done recording this instantly on YouTube, right? So that's cool. But the other part of it as well is that event page is actually really cool because I can set that up And for those of you that use, Google Calendar, and some of you might not, but for those that do, what's really cool about it is it'll give you a reminder, like it'll actually send it to your phone, if you're synced up and saying, hey, there's an event here. Or it's an easy way to remember, because that's one thing that does suck so bad on Picarto. It's like there's no real way to let people know. Like, you guys get an email when it goes live. It's very much like Twitch. Twitch is actually another spot that I was thinking of looking at the other day. I saw, I was just looking up for some Street Fighter Five. The beta was up. I think it was last week. Maybe it's still going on. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. But anyway, I was there, and I noticed under the game section there, I was just browsing that to get to the Street Fighter one. It was like, oh, creative. Like, oh, what's this? And I know some of you told me about this before, but I checked it. When I did check out the creative section before, there wasn't very many artists on there, so I was kind of like, nah. But when I went on there now, it was just like, it was packed with people just doing, video game ish kind of stuff. But a lot of it too was just like straight comic work and stuff, and pinups. So it's pretty cool. Let's get some shade inside here. So I have to come up with for Jessup King, I need to design his spaceship, and I haven't done that yet. I'm most definitely going to be using or trying to use a Google SketchUp model for that. Just like what we did here with the X-Wing, because like, as much as I really love drawing stuff like this, I don't. I'm much more into drawing figures and stuff if I'm able to. Plus, it just frees me up. Maybe I'm just coming up with excuses for like not wanting to draw like vehicles and stuff. But I think if like his ship in this case is like on point all the time, it just lends a little better quality to it. So once we have that, maybe we'll stream that, sort of designing it, because I think some people might get a kick out of that. I'm not a huge, like, I use SketchUp quite a bit. I don't know how to make a lot of things in there, a lot of models, and then I kind of like adjust a good chunk of them. But there's that, and there's also this other thing I've been trying to do, is I'm getting back into studies again, every night for 15 minutes, which is, sometimes it's very hard to just go, you know what, I've been drawing all day and I still want to do some studies, but it's like, come up with any kind of excuse you can not to do it. But I find that if I'm able to sit down, if I have the discipline and the balls to sit down and just do it, 15 minutes goes by way too quick, and I want to spend more time out doing it. But what I want to start doing, especially, I guess, maybe scheduling in, or who knows, just trying to fit in. I don't always do everything scheduled, but fit in some sketchbook time. But to do sketchbooks different than I've been doing them. How I've been doing sketchbooks is like how I've been doing it since I was even told about sketchbooks. Like, even the name sketchbook, right? Like, put sketches in this. I don't do that. What I end up doing with sketches is usually use it for like studies and stuff, right? Like, figure out how to draw the head, or very rarely will I just go in there and just start trying to design things. Like, a great, I forget who it was. I just watched a few videos of his channel on YouTube today. What is it? Something Friend. He's an inker for Marvel, DC. I think right now he's inking a lot of Finch stuff. Might be practice. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's hired by those guys. But anyway, what he was talking about, and it just hit me like, of course, right? And it's just something, one of those things you think about all the time, but you just, for whatever reason, you need somebody to say it at a certain time in a certain way, and then you just like, I agree. And what he was saying is, like, obviously, right, like, filling sketchbooks with anatomy is great, but it's not comics, right? Comics is not just anatomy. And he was flipping through a Capullo Batman book. It's a great book. I recommend you guys check it out. If you guys aren't, graphic novels or something, check it out. But he was showing all these pages, and it was just Bruce Wayne fighting like guys. Nobody was like in spandex or anything. It was people in suits, right? And you can't really, like, you can see some anatomy, but for the most part, it's not. It's just, it's gesture work, and it's clothing, and it's comics, right? Like, it's not. it's not what I've been filling my sketchbook up since the beginning of sketchbooking, which is, you always get taught, hey, you need to draw more anatomy. Draw more. Your anatomy sucks. You need to learn more about how the head's constructed and all these angles, which is great. But if you look at like a lot of really great comics and stuff, sometimes the art gets a little weird. But what really sells it is like if you have two guys fighting in suits, like, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like you draw the gesture, and then you draw the anatomy, and then I'll put like the anatomy on top of the anatomy, and then I cover it with clothing. Where it's like, no, like what you need to sell is just the shape of that, and then you put the clothing in there. We're gonna do some videos of that because I think you guys will get it. You guys will dig it because it's something I'm glad he brought it up because it was sort of like it shook me up a little bit. Of yeah, you are right. If I could have, maybe I would have gone back and not studied anatomy as much as I have, and it would just be that is what I should have been doing. And it does tie into just doing comics in general. Just keep doing comics, right? Like pinups are great. Pinups are fun. But when it comes down to it, I want to be doing more comics because I know I don't do enough comics. At the end of all my shows, I'll even say it here, right? Like, keep reading comics, keep making them. But that's the one thing that I need to be doing myself, right? Is making more comics. So it's a lot of good stuff. It's just, I don't know, just a lot of like internal thinking and analyzing a little bit of like being brutally honest with yourself of like what do you need to improve, what'll help you. And I caught myself last week too. I was looking through Bridgman again. I was just drawing some stuff, and it's great because I can learn like more muscle in the forearm. I've forgotten things and stuff since I've looked at it. But practically, when I sit down to do like a comic page, when am I going to need that, right? Like, how often do you need to, and I'm not saying not to know how to draw, right? Like, there's definitely something there, but comics is one of those mediums that you need to know how to draw a bunch of stuff. But anyway. Matthew has another question here. Thank you, Matthew. Just gonna do that one right now. When you start, when do you start liking your final pieces? Or perhaps, when did you find out that comics was your thing? I do not want to put a downer on your stream with all my insecure questions, but I can't think of any other way to. Oh no, don't worry about it. If this is your first time to the stream or anything like that, Matthew, I try to be an open book. So go ahead, guys, grill me. Tell me my art sucks. It's shit. All that stuff. When there's the productive part of the questions coming in, just like the question you just had, it's a great question. I try my best to try to be open and talk about, how I've tried to do my best part to fix it. And I know I've got a long way to go. Not till I die am I stop learning. That's just the way I'm wired. But to answer your question, so when I was growing up, I used to draw for a couple reasons. One of them was I like that. Now that I've thought about it, now that I've gotten older, the reason I drew was more so to get praise from people, not like a celebrity kind of style, like, oh, this guy's the best. None of that. It was more like of a, I guess, a psychological, like a way to be accepted. It was a way that I was able to do something that got feedback that was positive from people, sort of like when you hear comedians say, or actors or whatever, when they were younger, they kind of acted or they sang and they noticed people smiled or this or that, and it just makes you feel good, so you want to do more of that. And I don't want to say I wasn't getting any of that kind of attention or anything when I was growing up, but that was definitely a way that I could do that. And then what ended up happening is after a while, like, that's just not good enough and you want to do more with it and all this stuff, right? So I would look at my stuff and it was like, it didn't matter if it was good because I would just finish because I was tired with it. I'm done. Like I spent 10 minutes on it. I'm done. Move on to the next thing. Fast forward to today, looking at this, how do I know something's done? For me, it's very, you might not like the sound of this one, and I'll agree 100%. This doesn't make me sound like an artist, but I am a big fan of formula and what's the word I'm trying to look for? Formula and structure. Is structure a good way of saying it? Procedure, maybe that's a better way of looking at it. So when I do art, I always have like there's certain, like, I call them milestones, I guess we'll say, right? So in this case with this one, it would be like, okay, well, I need the gesture. The gesture in the thumbnail doesn't need to be amazing. It just needs to be something where I'm like, that looks like it works. It's good. I'm happy with it. I think I'll be not even excited, but I'm okay with moving forward from this stage. So from the thumbnail, then it goes into the roughs, or the tight roughs if you're going to put anatomy and stuff on there, right? And from there, like, you can only go so far by making that stage complete, right? Like, I can only tighten something up in a rough stage so much. Once that's done, the next stage is to go into like tight line work, right? And then shadowing and rendering. Like, you can only push these things so far before they start getting away from you. And just by doing it more, I feel like you start to notice that because of that, you know, you start to see it, you know how far you want to push it, or when you've gone too far, that you can stop and go to the next stage. So really, it's just practice and working into, like, you know where it wants to go. If you're inking it, you know the inks are the final stage, right? Like shadowing and rendering, that's going to be the last thing you do in an ink stage for the most part, right? So if that's the case, then you just build up to that, and once you get there to that stage, you know you're done. And that's not to say everything you do should go, like, you have a purpose for what you're doing, but like if you're just going in sketchbooks and stuff, well, you know you're just sketching, right? So you don't have to go further than a sketch unless you want to. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if it does or not, but the same thing goes with comic pages too. Like, if you can find like a, and again, this works for me, if you can find like a formula that works in stages, thumbnails, line art, inks, colors, we'll say, you just work into those, and they can only go so far. And what you do is, once you start getting very comfortable with it, you either stick with it, and that's how you'll start producing volume, or you start challenging yourself, going like, maybe I can get better rendering, or maybe I can pull back on inking, like rendering and shadow work, and just have cleaner lines. Maybe that's the way to go. But every time, and this works from, or I've noticed it with me, is any time that I'm not safe, or I think I can maybe change the way my art is, it's usually a few steps back, because as soon as I start doing that, the bad part that happens is like, well, now I'm not producing as much stuff. And that's the part that breaks my heart, because that's the, if you ask me, that's the artsy style, right? Like, that's why I'm in art, you know. It's just fun to do. It's really, I like creating this stuff. I should really start drawing here, but, and I don't know, again, if that really answered your question. I hope it did. Just try to find, like, if you're into digital work, or if you want to do comics, again, I talk about it all the time, DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics. Freddie's got like an actual, like, stages of producing the work, and if you follow that for a while, that might be a good way to do it. And experiment as you go. I feel like this is kind of going off the rails. It's like I'm missing a bunch of things, but I'm saying the same thing at the same time. So I apologize for that. Anyway, I hope that helped you. Thank you for the question there, bud. I'm just gonna finish, like, this is pretty much done. I just want to do a quick pass the background here for some shadows, and then we're gonna do a couple effects. There's still a lightsaber in here to do, and we're pretty much done. We shouldn't be here too much longer. Let me just got another question here. Okay, so this one comes from V. V saying, on the topic of studies for a non-professional but aspiring artist, how do you recommend I spend my limited time in order to best improve while on a busy schedule? Generally speaking, of course, I'm considering a routine of morning gesture drawing. Okay, so thank you for the question there, V. Let me just get my chair here. So I sort of talked about this in the last question that was asked. And just doing that lame story, I guess, that I was sort of telling myself. But if I could go back in time, if I could change stuff, like my study sessions, I used to draw a lot of anatomy. And I still feel like, you know, like I'll look at this and there's still a lot of problems with the anatomy. And I think that just happens because as you draw, you have to draw lots of stuff that there's no way you're going to be drawing everything you need to draw in your sketchbook. There's going to be times, especially if you're working for clients, where you don't know what you're getting until you get a script. You don't know if you got to draw a horse. You don't know if you have to draw like anything, right? Until you get there. What I would recommend doing, crap, I got rid of my shadow color. 1 second here, guys. This is our shadow color here. Let's grab that. Put back on multiply. So what I would recommend doing is filling your sketchbook with, like, actually study comic books. Actually, let me back that up, because you're just talking about art in general. So I don't want to. I do. I don't. Like, everything I usually talk about usually goes from like either mostly a comic book standpoint or a what's it called? Sort of concept illustrator sort of thing. But it depends what you want to do. If you want to do comics, you need to learn storytelling and ways to tell a story through character. And even if you want to do superhero stories, right? Like anatomy only gets you so far. And I've only come across this realization myself probably over the last 2 years, 3 years. You guys have been following me for a while. You guys have heard me always saying things like I want to make it so my art is simpler. I don't want to get into this rendering and stuff, but it's so cool. Like I actually enjoy doing it. So I'm trying to find that balance that's in there that I can still, sneak it in and it's still fun because I don't want to give it up, right? But if I could go back and change something about my sketchbook, what I would do is, hey Jessup, I would do more like here. I'll give you guys an example of what I'd be filling my stuff up with here. I could just change some of these shadows because that looks pretty stupid. All right, so we'll go here. So this is what I've been filling my sketchbook up with lately. All right, that works. So normally you guys have seen my stuff. I'll this is what I would do with a sketchbook, right? Let's get a brush here. So I'm probably start with like a body or something. And I try to figure out where the bottom is and, really gestural work. Let's figure out, okay, so he's got his hands on his hips here. That's great. And then I would go in and, okay, so muscles here, what I'm doing here is anatomy, which is great. Like if you're drawing Spider-Man and stuff, cool. You just put a costume over this. And that has value. If you can shorthand anatomy, I definitely do that. And when you're starting out, there's so much you need to learn that it can be overwhelming. And anatomy is a great place to start because no matter what, most likely you're going to be drawing human or human-like things. So knowing human anatomy, because no matter what you're doing in art, you're telling a story. And the only way it's going to resonate or people are even going to give a shit is if there's humans in it. Somehow there's a human element in it, right? So you need to be able to do something that's human-like. So there's that. However, what I think is more important than even that, and something, again, I wish I did more of, is it's like maybe it's just gesture. Maybe that's just the word I'm looking for. It's giving emotion or just showing things through people because they could be wearing clothes and stuff, right? So let's say it's this exact same pose, this pose here, but he's got a suit on, right? So there might not be a point in putting all of that stuff because I know there's going to be things over top, right? So instead, what I would do is start to just figure out, like, okay, so this is really all I need. This is the gesture or whatever. This is what I'm trying to show is this, right? Maybe he just got a promotion at work, right? Like, this is what I want, not this. That's what's underneath, but we don't even care. As long as I've studied, I guess, this to the point where I understand, like, how these muscles bulge when this arm is in this position, the bicep peaks, and the tricep sort of flattens out, stuff like that. So when I'm going in here, I'm like, all right, so I can visualize this all in my head. I can figure out, like, where the perspective is going and all that, right? But now I can just sort of, like, shorthand, okay, so here's his suit. And I know his shoulder is going to be up here, so maybe I round it up and there's like a pinch point here, right? And here I can just sort of fold it all down. Hey, Jessup. And I can start bunching all the stuff up here, and I can still put that bicep in there, right? And then I can put his hand. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is giving me so much more. This is getting me to the end product faster and most likely more efficient. And I'm not doing this because by doing this part here, the next stage I do, right, would be, okay, so now I'm going to draw the clothes on top, which is great. But this is this is different, right? Like the starting point of this is much different. So let's just say we had a good example. If I can kind of remember the thing I was sort of looking at. So let's just say we got two guys grappling, but they're wearing like suits, right? So maybe he's got an arm here and he's coming in here and he's trying to like pull the guy's arm down and he's got his head up here, right? And the other guy's got his head up here and he's, like looking mean at the guy and we got an ear. And you guys might not be able to see this 100%, but maybe they look like they're hugging here. But he's got his head, his arm coming over across like that, trying to choke the guy out. Maybe he's got his second arm up here and he's really pulling on that, right? And so do you see the gesture that's happening, right? But I'm not putting any anatomy because I don't need it. I don't need the anatomy because I understand the principle of the anatomy. What I need is the acting, the emotion part, right? So if I were to tighten this up real quick, right, I can go in here and I can, okay, so I know a lot of this stuff's getting folded up here. I can bring out the suit thing like that. I know he's got his other hand, it's up here, and I'm trying to be pretty loose with this. I don't want to go too tight with it, right? Get some lines coming up here, but now I can actually like render out the clothing to accentuate what I would have ended up doing anyway in the anatomy stage, right? His fist up here, and we got the other guy's head. You know, we've got his hair coming up like this. But this guy, we're gonna have his suit coming down this way, and I can stretch it out this way, get a bunch of folds. So I'm hoping, and like, and this is the other thing too, right? Because up here now I can make another pinch point because like this guy, I'm trying to have it so this guy's like strangling the hell out of this dude, and you just start getting some pinch points up like this, right? You just get your clothes, and it's a whole different learning process I find when you're trying to figure out like how does clothing work, right? Like we've always talked about putting a cape on this guy and just that's fine, but am I sinking this in? Is this making sense, or am I just sort of like bouncing around? I hope this is making sense. But this is what I've been right here. But what I've been trying to figure out more of like, what do I do with my sketchbooks? It's have people doing people things that aren't naked all the time, because life drawing and stuff is great, and I think it's everybody should do it at some point or sprinkle it in, like just pepper it in with your studies and stuff. But when it comes down to it, when you're drawing like a girl on a cell phone. Maybe she's surfing Instagram, right? She's on, I don't know, some stone thing. Maybe there's a library back here. But when you're drawing her and she's just like surfing the phone, you know, like I don't want to be going in here going like, okay, so here's the chest and the hips. Like I don't want to do this anymore. To me, it's like this is not good. It's killing stuff. I can do that later, but that gesture is the important part, right? So maybe she's hunched and she's got a leg up, you know. Maybe she's really got legs up like this, and everything's tight in here. Everything's very like this is showing way more with littler, with fewer lines. This is showing more of the character and the story than worrying about like where all the anatomical stuff needs to be. And from here, you know, like I can go in and then do the circle stuff if you really wanted to, which I would recommend doing. But you can do it so brief, right? Like I would be throwing in like every muscle, like where the shoulder connects, and just junk. And you don't need all of that because there's a high chance she's wearing clothes, right? All right, so the cat's jumping on the photo. Yeah. And she's got her phone, and you know she's really looking at it. And put her here. So I'm hoping you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. I don't need to go in here and show all this stuff because again, she probably got pants on here. So we'll just put some fold and some wrinkle up in her jeans here. She's probably wearing a shirt. Just put like a lame t-shirt on. Nothing fancy. And maybe she's got a purse slung over here. Like this, right? I'm telling you guys, do more of that. And if there's something I can do with the experience I've got in comics, which isn't as much as a lot of people, but I have been working on them for a very long time, this is always what you're going to end up needing. Okay? So if you can get to that and then add all of this on there if you want, but if they've got clothing, you probably don't need to. You should probably, and this is as lame as it sounds, is surf the internet for just like Instagram's great. Well, not really Instagram, but any website where you can just get pictures of people doing people things, shopping in a grocery store. Just how does clothing, how does things fall off people is way more important. Like just go back to what we're working on here. So let's look at Jaina here up in the front. This is actually a great example. So Jaina in the front, she's got like the skin tight undershirt on here, but these baggy pants, right, of the overalls. Like there's no muscle in here at all, but it's just baggy clothes, and that's more important than what the legs fit inside of that, right? Whereas if you look at Mara Jade here, she's wearing like the latex suit. So everything's tighter in here. And this is where your anatomy study comes in, right? But most, again, if you're doing comics, whatever. Anyway, I think I'm beating this up to death. I think, and I hope this makes sense to you. Hey, Lawrence, how's it going, bud? So I know there's a bunch of questions. I don't know if you guys delete the questions. Do they go under anywhere else? Let me just see. No, maybe you guys deleted the questions, or maybe I didn't answer them in time. Sorry about that. So let's keep this going. I want to finish this before I go to bed. All right, so let's bring some of this back. And we're actually going to be getting back into Manga Studio. I want to see if I can start just staying in there 100%. I was looking at some of my old videos. And I was noticing, whoops, some Manga Studio 4 action. That was cool. And I'm like, do I want to get back into Manga Studio 4? What's going on? And this really does play into play into what I was just talking about learning new things or going back to different things, right? Because if I go back into like Manga Studio, we'll say for an example here, just an example, that's going to mess up my production flow, and all of a sudden things are going to start slowing down, right? So here at these rocks, I just want to try to keep this pretty, I don't know, tame. What's happening here is I'm starting to color them like in a painterly way, and I don't want to be doing that. I'm not even sure if I'll like this. I'm just gonna keep going, see where it builds up into. Okay, so Lawrence Kitchen is asking, how do you place your characters in perspective? Okay, I can do that one hopefully pretty quick. It's actually pretty easy. Well, I'll just talk about it first before I show you. So we'll just do a little talkie while I'm doing this, and then I'll bring it up. But I think the easiest, one of the most challenging parts is it's not placing characters in perspective that's the hard part. It's understanding the form of those things that you're placing in perspective. So a great example would be, and you guys can do this right now while I'm drawing if you want. If you do this, okay? If you really care about placing characters in perspective, I want you to do this for me right now. Grab a piece of paper, grab your sketchbook off your table right now. I'm going to wait a little bit, go grab something. And if you're not going to do it, then you got to ask yourself, why? Why don't I want to learn right now? What is it that I don't want to, why do I not want to learn? Get mad at yourself. Come on, have the balls, have the stones, go grab something. Grab a piece of paper, open up Manga Studio, Photoshop, whatever you like, or whatever's quick that you can do, because it's a very quick experiment that I'm going to tell you to do here. And I'm going to hopefully show you something that makes you kind of go like, oh, well, that's the structure that's messed up, right? So quickly make a 1-point perspective grid on your paper. Don't grab a ruler, freehand it all. If you don't know how to do, you should know how to do 1-point perspective. Just really quickly, this is what it would be. So here's a piece of paper. You can even go in the middle with it. Keep it simple. There's your horizon line, your vertical line, like your ups and downs, like where gravity's pulling things. And right in the middle here, you're just going to literally just scribble in a bunch of lines like this. And that's going to give you your 1 point. Then all you do is freehand all this. Your horizon line, just make a bunch of horizon lines like this. Then your vertical line, do a whole bunch of vertical lines, and you're going to quickly have a perspective. Okay, so give you guys a little bit of time to just hammer that in. Just do that. Grind it out. And if you really want to next level your perspective, start using grid paper, because they've got boxes already done, and you can just put a vanishing point on there, and boom, you're good to go. Or even line paper. It's already got straight lines on there, so you just got to add a couple more straight lines, and you're good to go. Okay, so as your guys' grid done, you guys kind of have something going. All right, now next thing you do is start drawing Superman flying towards you, or a character flying towards you. Okay, what I'm going to assume what happens is it just starts to feel so off that, like, where does his legs fit in? Where are the arms coming in? I don't understand. Like, where's his hips? Where's his hips? And where do the legs connect in the hips? Why is this happening? Why is no matter what I'm drawing, like, things feel like they're missing, or they, even though they should be there, they're not? Does this make sense? The reason for this, or the next thing you do is try to draw a car. Draw a car in boxes. The reason for this, the reason why it's struggling so much, why it sucks and why it hurts, is because, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, because this is usually what happens with a lot of people, and hopefully you guys can take criticism, is that you haven't studied your form yet, or you haven't studied it enough. You don't understand form. And that might be weird. You might be able to draw really sick characters. You might be able to draw characters like this just standing here. Like, this is a very safe image. There's nothing, there's no crazy perspective in this at all. It's a very safe image. And the part that most people struggle with, I do too, is form. Like, how do I break this up and put it into perspective? And really, you need to start doing a lot of that in your sketchbook. Kind of going back again to what I just said previously about not necessarily studying so much anatomy as gesture is, in my opinion, way more important than anatomy. And I'm trying to be very adamant about that. I still say make time for anatomy, absolutely, but storytelling is paramount in comics especially. Let me just lighten this background up because that doesn't look too bad. Let's just go with light gray, just so I can see it pop off a little bit more. A little dark. Anyway, okay, so just wait for this to save, and then I'll just quickly show you, hopefully, what can help you out here. Placing characters into perspective. All right, so this is what I asked you to do. Just got a piece of paper, not the whole thing. You can, if you want, you do the whole thing, or you can just draw like a little box, right? It's got a horizon. Just gonna toss it a bunch of lines. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't matter. Perspective isn't actually perfect. It's just an illusion that we're giving to ourselves to sell the way forms push and pull away from us. I'm going to lower the opacity on that so we can still see it. Actually, we'll just turn it blue. That way we can, hopefully you guys can still see that. All right, so what you do with this is the exercise. I tell people to do this all the time, right? So what's form? What is form of, and very simple. I'm not talking throw anatomy and stuff in there. To put characters into perspective, you need to know a couple things, right? A head. However you like to draw a head. Maybe you like to draw circles, maybe you like to draw boxes. Whatever. But it's not a circle, right? It's a sphere. It's volume. This is what I'm asking you guys to do, is volume. Not this is a head and this is a box and like the sides start getting all wacky. These are both wrong, all right? These are what you want to be thinking about at all times, is volume and mass and shape. Like, this is a 3D object. Because I do say this a lot, that I think it's artists' job. We're magicians at heart, where we're selling bended truth to people to make them believe something. You're grabbing a piece of paper that's flat, and somehow you can look into that, and it can take you to a place that you wish you were at, all because of depth and perspective, right? I don't want to get too philosophical on this stuff, but really all the human body is, right, is a sphere for the head. And this is really gross. This is just very, primitive. Box for the chest, box for the hips, and cylinders. Right? Cylinder for the arm, the leg, the knee is another box. The ankle's a box. The foot's a box. The hand's a box. All that stuff. And just start filling up sketchbooks very quickly with just that. Don't go in here and don't make straight lines that are perfect. No, don't do that. Just place them in this, right? So let's do this real quickly. The easiest way is to place something in there that can be your anchor, meaning everything relates to that, okay? And it just makes it so the scene's there. So most people, they can draw people straight on or 3/4. So we'll do a 3/4 here, okay? So I'm going to start with the head. We'll do a sphere, right? And we'll put him looking off in the distance, or her in the distance, doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about proportions being perfect, none of that. You're just trying to understand how things are working here, right? So I'm going to put a straight box for his chest. But again, remember, it's a 3D shape, right? And this will come with practice about how deep to go. And I'm not going to talk about that now. I just want to do this really quickly. But with this 1-point perspective we've established, this would just be like drawing like buildings. So you're just putting this box into that perspective. And then the hips, you're just going to do the exact same thing. And what this teaches you about form is actually kind of magical, because you'll see it right here. So if you can notice, we can see the underneath of the ribs because it's above your horizon line. Now, if you notice with the hips, you can't see anything because it's right on the horizon, so you can't see the top of it, and the bottom you can't see because it is on the horizon, right? So now we're going to go into the thighs, right? So I'm just going to draw a line right in the middle just to separate it, just to keep it easy. We're going to see the top of it because it's below the horizon, right? So we'll just do a little cylinder. You're not going to see the bottom of it. We're going to do another box for the knee. And again, follow that perspective. You see the top, you see the top. And we're going to do another cylinder. Go a little shorter this time. And the box of the foot, we'll just bring the box out this way. And all I've done with this guy is use the exact same perspective that's already in this picture. And this one, I'm just going to freehand this side, just to speed this up. And you can see how boring this character looks. Like, so boring. But what this does is right away, okay, so we've got this boring cat, right? But now this is what I can relate everything to. So maybe we go a little dynamic with we'll go over here and go on the next one here. Maybe it's a person running at us in a really goofy way. Don't worry about staging all your stuff, but maybe their head's leaning towards us, right? Like they're really giving it. So we're gonna put his head in here. It's going real big. Remember, it's a sphere. It's gotta have volume to it. And I'm just gonna, this will be the top of the box, and this is where it gets fun. Just start to figure this stuff out, play with it here. So again, you're following the sides down. You're trying to figure out, if you notice here, like even this tilt is on here because this character is tilting in space. And we'll put the box here for the hips, and we'll follow the perspective again here. And let's put that in half. And maybe we'll put like a cylinder here and follow that perspective just to try it out. Let's see the top here, it's going to come down. Maybe this one's going away from us. And I hope you can also see as well like how horrible this looks. But I'm telling you right now, when you do this, when you sit down to do this exercise, as garbage as this looks, and it looks absolutely horrible, as garbage as this looks, what it does for your brain is crazy, because you can't, you no longer can you just scribble figures in here, because you can't. You have to think about where your lines are going, right? So like a good example here is this arm. I want to kind of come down here, straight down. So it's here, but I know the horizon's up here, so I don't get to see the top of it. I'm going to come under. We don't get to see the bottom of it. His arm's coming down here, but it's underneath the perspective, so we get to see the top coming down. We don't get to see the bottom. And maybe put the hand this way. And maybe we're going to bring the other arm the other way here. So it's going to go away from us. It's going back into the distance. So you would see the top here. You would see the top here. So do you see what I'm saying? This is what I would recommend you guys do. This is the study part that you have to do that sucks, but you might get a headache doing it because you have to think about how things are coming and working at us. But once you start understanding this, you can start doing, like freehanding it in and just sort of like adding your gestures into this stuff, right? So maybe we got the Superman coming at us. So he's got his arm here, He's got his chest. He's coming straight at us. I know his head would go here. And now, if you notice here, his chest is underneath of the horizon line, and it goes above here. So we wouldn't see the hips, because if you put the hips here, then all of a sudden he'd be like hunched over like this, right? And if that doesn't make sense to you yet, keep doing this exercise and that will come to you. What you might be able to do is sneak a leg out here like this, because that means that it would be kind of coming at us like that. And then the leg would go back. Right? And then the cape, you can't really do the cape like that because it's just, anyway, I'm not going to get all that stuff because this is going in there, but I hope this helps. Just study with this, and it's the easiest way to do perspective. And again, what you would end up doing once the 1 point starts to get a little, okay, I'm starting to understand that. Now you just switch it to 2 point perspective. You bring your horizon line up, get your vertical line, and you put a vanishing point like off the page here. Don't ever put your vanishing points the same distance from each other from the page. It'll look weird. Put it like way over here. Quickly toss in some lines. Nothing fancy. Lines don't have to be straight for this because your brain will still make sense of it, right? And now that you have this, now start figuring out, okay, so if a guy is standing there, how does that work now? Exact same way. Okay, so this side's going over here. We get to see the top because we're underneath of the horizon line, right? Just like drawing buildings in a city. And immediately, hopefully you guys can see this too, this shot looks way cooler than a 1-point perspective, just because there's more interest to it, right? But this is really where you'll end up going. And then you'll try 3-point perspective and stuff like that. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. If not, I'm sorry. Thanks again, Lawrence. I'm not sure if there's a question of V saying, as a senior in my degree, I do my best to find time to draw at the library between classes. Awesome. I'm starting to move in the direction of what you showed. My work needs more energy and flow. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Oh, awesome. I hope that does work for you, like all the gesture and all that sort of stuff. Structure is something you'll always learn. It'll just happen. Especially if you look at other artists to figure out, like, I want to draw more like so and so, or I wish my hands look like this artist or my faces, right? Whoops, I always keep doing this. There we go. Just a little thing that I'll tell you guys that I've been doing for the last, I'd say, week now, is I'm looking for time, right? Like, I'm looking to find time to study more and all that, fun stuff. But the problem is when you come home from work or school or wherever you're at, you might notice that you're like more exhausted, more tired, all sorts of stuff. And the way that I'm finding out that I'm able to get more work done, we'll say, the work that I want to get done, that's probably a better way of saying it, is getting up early. And I know that sounds disgusting. Like, ugh, what could be more worse than that? Getting up early? Are you kidding me? But I will say my production is gone up. Like, for that half hour, extra hour that I wake up before going to work, or if you're going to school, wherever you're going, you'd be surprised how much you actually don't work when you get home, right? Like, for some of us, it's a chore. And I don't want to get all preachy and stuff, but try it. Stop staying up so late. I know there's people that say there's night owls and stuff. I think everybody's a night owl because it's easier to relax when you come home from doing stuff. And like everybody else in the world has got back from doing stuff. So if you want to hang out with people or anything like that, it's easier. But just try waking up early. Just see what that does for you. You might notice that you might be able to sneak in a little extra time here and there. But that's something I would recommend doing. Oh, it did work for you, Lawrence. Awesome. Keep it up, man. Don't give up on it. She's a tricky beast. Okay, so we got the background done here. What I'm gonna do is some of these shadows. I'm gonna just duplicate the shadow layer, and I'm gonna turn this off. What I'm gonna do is just grab my. I think I have. See, I don't have my default brushes on here, but I'm looking for like this kind of guy here. It's like an airbrush sort of thing. That'll work. And I'm just going to erase what I just did lightly, just to like sort of fade those shadows out, so they're not so garish. But it also adds like this really cool like framing to it a little bit. Lawrence is saying wakes up at 4:30 every day. That's gross. Do you wake up at 4:30 to do your own stuff, or you waking up at 4:30 to like go to work and get ready and stuff? Because it's almost what time is it now? Almost 9 o'clock. So it's almost time for. I always joke with my girlfriend about it being like old man hours. It's almost time for bed for John. Now this part's going to be tricky. I don't know how well this is going to work. I want to add like this effect behind the girls where it sort of like blurs everything back. And all right, let's try it. I hate trying to do these sorts of things because I know as soon as I have to grab my lasso tool to do this, it's like, all right, I'm in it for the long haul. Because I need the line art as well. All right, this is going to get kind of boring for you guys for a little bit. And there's no way, like, I could grab my masks that I made for these characters and stuff, and that's great, but the masks don't cover the line art. If I select all the line art, then it's selecting the parts that I want to fade in the background. And what this is, hopefully you guys will see it as soon as it works, and I hope it works, is what it does is it just I'm going to add a color, probably like a blue or something. It's sort of like the atmosphere color in the image, like a blue gradient. And what that does is we're going to lower the opacity and stuff, and it just applies that gradient to everything that's under it. So it'll sort of like, I don't want to say wash the colors out, but it'll hopefully make it feel like they're in the distance. And it makes the characters in the foreground pop. Makes them pop. So Lawrence saying, wakes up at 4:30 to do your own stuff. Well, you're my idol. Congratulations, I do. That's great to hear. And what do you notice? Actually, this is a good time to ask this, to like share with everybody that can't make it to the show. So, when did you start waking up at 4:30 to do your own stuff? I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. When did you start it? How much time in the morning? Yeah, I know you're getting up at 4:30, but how much time in the morning before you have to start getting ready for work and stuff? So, how much time are you putting into your personal stuff because you get to get up early? And the last question is, have you noticed by getting up early that you're able to get more done in a day? It's really weird. I know it sounds odd, right? Like if you get up like an hour before work every day just to do your personal stuff, like it's like, well, it's only an hour. When I get off work, if I stay up later, I got all night to do it, right? And some people do work well like that. I just feel like a lot of people probably default to just that. Whereas if you woke up in the morning, and I'm noticing this anyway, even if I only have a half hour to do something, the quality of the work seems to come out quicker, and it's usually always better, and I'm more satisfied with it, as opposed to sort of like your work or your day job or whatever your day commitment is like that determines what the rest of your day is. And then when you get home, all you get to do is you get to work on your own stuff or client stuff until you can't take it anymore and you have to pass out and go to bed so you can wake up and do it all over again. Again, if I find waking up in the morning is just feel like you're a little bit more in control. And if you come home from work, it's cool that you can just hang out now. You know, you've already put in some solid time. Or if you want, you can get back to doing what you were doing. And guess what? Shit, I went the wrong spot here. Guess what? You're actually putting in more work, and you're going to get more done for sure. Okay, so I would select the questions, but I've got this lasso going, and I don't want to lose the selection, which I'm kind of getting scared about. Okay, so I'm just going to answer. Lawrence is saying he did it a while ago because he noticed that I have no time after school, so I wake up early to get more time, and it feels great. There you go. So you got some testimony here. Hey, that's great to hear. And the fact that you're saying you're a student and you're going to school and you're doing this, I'm telling you right now, if you keep this up, it's something I wish I did a lot more, or I did it all growing up. You know, you always got that, as you get older, you get that 20/20 vision, right? But I'm telling you right now, if you can stick with this habit, it's going to pay off for you huge. Absolutely huge. Uh, so Matthew is saying, DC or Marvel, not just for story, heroes, or villains, but the art style too. It's 2 a.m. here, and I'm still working. Thanks for all the help. And posted a link. I'm assuming that's to your Tumblr account. Um. Oh God, here we go. My space bar isn't working now. That's fantastic. Here we go. Why is the lasso doing this? Oh Christ! I'm gonna close that selection. So which one? I grew up on Marvel stuff, so I usually just default to that. Why is this not working? So what was the question there? But the art style too. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It always floats back and forth. Artists move from Marvel, they move to DC all the time. So personally, I'm not loyal to any like company unless I work for them or something, of course. But I follow artists, not so much writers. My interest lies in, yeah, like cool, story is part of comics and stuff. But I do find a lot of the Marvel characters more interesting. But to be fair, I don't read a lot, if any, DC stuff, right? So I'm not too familiar. I'd be very interested though, because I feel like I'm totally missing out on a huge chunk of superheroes and stuff. But like I said, I usually just follow wherever the artist is. And right now, my pull file is actually really small. I don't have a lot, because I don't like to spend a lot every month on comics, and I'd rather get like a graphic novel. There's no ads, and I don't know. They tend to be cheaper, and it's more like that is the story. It's kind of complete. But the comics I do have in my pull file right now, Invincible. I think that's probably one of the best comic books out there right now. That's been out for a very long time anyway, and it's never let me down. Again, Ryan Otley is or Otley, Otley, I believe is how you say it. Oh, awesome artist. So I get that. I get Ninja Turtles. That that book has been on point since issue 1, and there's some nostalgia in there for me, of course, because I'm a big Turtle fan. But the writing, everything has been just cool. And if you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, then it's like you're getting a lot of really cool nods like all stages of development it was in. I remember my big thing when I was growing up was Ninja Turtles Adventures, I guess it was called, and seeing some of the ideas and the characters come up in like the Turtle book right now, just that was really cool. So I got that one. What else am I getting? Jonas Quantum by Freddie Williams. I love his work, so I have to get anything he's doing. Again, he's the guy that did the DC Comics Guide book, so I'm always interested in seeing, because I know there's artists that do digital work, but what I like about when I get Freddie's books is just sort of seeing like if and where he's evolving, because this, as long as he's still doing digital, I mean, it's like you can still learn from it if you enjoy that book anyway, right? So that, and I think the last book I have on file is Luther Strode, which was something I like. I guess it's been around for a while. I had no idea really what it was. I missed the boat way back when it first came out. But the artist that's on there right now, and I can't remember his name. If you guys in the chat know his name, let me know. But holy hell, that's like, that is some beautiful stuff. It's almost like the artist is literally drawing in the Matrix, like with some of the angles and the shot choices and the timing and stuff. Just really cool. Lawrence is saying also waking up gains it helps gain more freedom with your art. I believe it. I have noticed too that I tend to be more creative. Like whatever the first thing is that I do that day, art wise, tends to be the best of what I've been doing. Or like your creative energy is like on point. So let's just say you don't work in an art field, right? Like you are like a general laborer somewhere, or factory worker or something. So you wake up, you eat, check the internet, because it's the internet. You got to do your stuff before work, and chances are you're probably getting up before work at some point. That's like close to work. So you go to work, do your job, come home, relax, and then you sit down to start drawing and stuff, right? So if you were instead able to wake up and draw, all that mental energy you had while you were, when you're fresh, when you wake up and stuff, that's all for you. You know, you get to, you get all of that just by drawing when you wake up. Anyway, I'm beating that one to death. I wish this was faster. I don't know why my spacebar keeps crapping out. Makes this very boring to look at. It'll show up, but it won't. And Lawrence, I like the way you think, buddy. Basically, what Lawrence just said is like, and while you're sleeping, all your art is molding into him. I always love that, and we talked about that for a while too. Is like that Arnold Schwarzenegger quote. I know, I'm pretty sure he's heard it from somebody else as well. Oh, this is just insane. I don't know. Let's close that up and just keep this going. Or it's like if you're out there partying and horsing around, somebody else is out there working hard. Somebody else is basically getting where you want to be. So just know that when you take time off to relax and have fun, just know that there's other people out there that are at home right now, behind a desk, behind a computer somewhere, trying to get better. And that's not to say not to have fun and stuff, but just know that don't have too much. I don't want to say don't have too much fun. Don't have too much distraction. I don't know why I can't use my spacebar anymore. So this is why I didn't want to do this, because it's already, you know what, screw this. Sorry for wasting your time there, guys. Let's see if I can, maybe I'm going to just try to do like an easier way to do this. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I don't understand it. Okay, so I need this whole thing except for front rock, arcade, solo. All right, and where's her lightsaber? Really? There we go. All right, so we got all of that. So what we'll do is we'll make a layer on top of the line art layer. Like I said, maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna just put blue for now. Maybe we'll go yellow. And we're just gonna grab gradient. See how it looks from the top to the bottom. Let's see, bottom to the top. Oh, top to the bottom. We'll have that there. Oh, sorry, let me just catch up with your questions there. So it looks like we got more people in here. So if you guys wanted to ask a question, I know the chat, there's no like chat, so you guys can't talk to each other and stuff, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can just mouse over the video and you can see it'll say like a little information thing that you can click on, and it'll take you to the spot where you can do some Q&A if you'd like, or Q's, and I'll do the A. And thank you for popping in. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're still watching, just leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys like this stuff, because it's much easier to do it through Google than it is setting stuff out through Picarto. Even though you just click stream, it's just easier to upload and stuff. It's less downtime for me, which means I can make more of it. That's pretty much how it goes. Lawrence is saying, I also find it easier to draw when there's a lot of inspiration around. You know, that's why I want to buy the Surface Pro. Okay, Lawrence. I swear to God, you and I, we're like kindred spirits here. Man, I'm getting. So I have a Surface Pro 1, and I haven't used it in a long time because I don't really travel or do anything where I guess I would need it. But since I'm going to be starting the Jessup King mini comic very soon, what I'm hoping to do is I want to be able to have it around me, so whenever I need to use it, I can. You know, you never know when inspiration strikes, or especially with webcomics, from what I hear from everybody, right? It's okay. That actually looks really cool. Just doing this here like that. Do you guys see what I'm doing here? Where it's there. We'll zoom in a second, but I just want to say, yeah. So you never, like, if I have a deadline to hit with Jessup King, and that's something I don't want to miss, and it's not like the production has to be perfect. And I kind of wanted to talk about this tomorrow during the stream, but I know we're gonna have like the critique show tomorrow. But it's sort of like I was watching this movie called Indie Game, and I've seen it before, but the way the guy was just talking about it just seemed legit. So indie is the same as indie comics in this case, right? But for video games, indie games, they can be full of bugs. They'll have rough edges. It won't be highly polished usually, like a AAA title from like Activision or EA, right? BioWare, you know, like Mass Effect, amazing RPG. But if you look at it, there's like there'll be bugs, of course, but like it's so polished that like they take sandpaper, and if there's a little bump, they'll spend months just grinding it so it's perfectly smooth, perfect, so that it gets mass appeal, right? Whereas with any comics, and I'll use Jessup King as an example, it's just me. So I know, and I have to be conscious that I don't want to make a Marvel or a DC book because it's just me, right? I want to just make it. So what that means is if I'm going to just make it, I have to have some sacrifices. And that's not to say that you have sacrifices in quality and things, but what you'll have is sacrifices other places. Like maybe the writing won't be as awesome as I wish it was. Maybe the inking style has to be a little quicker because I want to be able to have more updates. Maybe I can't do a whole bunch of things. So just going in with the Surface Pro thing, like he was saying, that's why I want to get back into it. But I have the first model, and this is where it kind of gets into like, okay, spoiled. A friend of mine has a Surface Pro 3, and I just remember holding that one, and it was like, this feels so much, I guess, thinner and lighter, where I was actually just drawing on his couch. I forget what he's Destiny, and I was just like, yeah, do you mind if I just open up it was like a notes app or something like that, and I was just sketching, just nothing. There's no layers or anything, and it just felt more relaxed, like legit, like a more of a better thing. So I'm considering looking into getting a newer one, but I don't know. I just wanted like, does anybody in the chat? Do you guys have Surface Pros? What do you think of them? Like I know the one that I have, it's great. But this is where I don't want to say the selfish part, but you always wish, this is the thing. Technosexuals is what they're called, It's like, oh, there's something new and slicker out. I gotta have that. Anyway, so Matthew is asking, what resolution do you work in? Do you work on actual printed page size, or do you start larger, maybe smaller, or just find other people's process interesting? So Matthew, I usually work in 300 DPI. In Manga Studio, I know a lot of people work in 600. I don't know why, I just got accustomed to working in 300, so that's what I use. Sorry, just kind of go there. So this page here, how we did this was actually, I'll show you guys real quick. What the hell? So let me just move this over here. Solo Jade. Okay, so I guess I don't have the roughs, but what I would do is you can go back to any of my videos on my channel. I've done this before, so you guys can check that out, like my workflow. This method here is actually talked again in that DC Comics Guide to digitally drawn comics. It's sort of Freddie calls it it's like a hybrid method. He likes to call it, where it's digital and traditional. So when I do commissions, I just find it's easier to be able to do things digital as well, whether it's roughs and then light tabling it onto like artboard, anything like that. But the easier way, or at least what I ended up doing, if you look, let me just zoom in a little bit here. It's probably a little harder to see, but all these lines they're just like 3-pixel brush, like it's very flat, like a micron if you had that. And what that does is I can't get fancy with the line art. It's just the information that I need. Everything's where it needs to be and all this stuff. Then I would print this out on 11 by 17 on Bristol. And okay, so we got reference there. So this is what I printed out, right? If you look, it's kind of got like the artboard template. You can kind of see the rough that I had back there. Thumbnails, I literally like to make them about the size of your thumb. I don't like having big roughs like that because I feel the thumbnail is really what just gets that gesture. You don't need to make an elaborate thumbnail because you're just wasting time. This is where you're going to be sinking time and inking. So just get the idea down. So I get this printed out. And then we did traditional inks on top. And I'm not the best inker with real tools. I kind of want to get better at it, but at the same time, I really don't, because I do enjoy digital. But you can just see, I just go in there. Again, I use microns for the most part. I think I might take a picture soon, just showing the tools that I use. It's a lot of markers and brush pens. That's about it. Again, you can see, and I might need to get different Bristol because like there's areas like where I scanned here where it's like whatever, but like you'll get bleed and stuff in there. But this is like the legit look, right? And I just ink it in, and where we're at right now, just coloring it up. And the funny part is, like, even if your artwork, if you are doing traditional and you scan it in and it looks a little rough, once you get color on top of it, like it's still rough. Like look at that neck, it's not. But when it gets printed, that sucker's black, and everything you need's pretty much done there. So I always like to work small, blow it up, and then work big. If that answers your question there. So this is what I was afraid of here. And it's not that huge, but look at her hair. You see how it's like blue because we've got this layer there, this like screen layer. So what we have to do, and this is the tedious part. Again, I didn't want to have to do this, but I got to go in here and like erase. And we're almost done here. It's almost bedtime for this guy. I still got to color that lightsaber. And I'm not sure what else. Maybe like a quick highlight layer, possibly. I'm not sure. I do enjoy working in this style. Jessup King will be colored this way, where it's just like a shadow, possibly a very quick highlight layer if it needs it in certain areas. Like if they're in a dungeon or something, it'd be cool to have like a bounce light. But I find just doing what I'm doing here, just with like a quick shadow pass and like maybe a layer effect, like we do for the background here, that's more than enough to get information down to sell, the idea that there's perspective and atmosphere and blah blah blah, without having to worry about. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like I was gonna say, worrying about like correct color placement and stuff like that, but that's not the case. And for those of you that came in a little later as well, there's I have a tool here that I use. Let me just zoom out and show you. For those of you that don't use it, so it's a color balance layer. So these would have been my flats, and it's a very slight adjustment. You guys might not be able to see it. Let me just zoom in a little bit. But with the color balance layer, I can adjust, like make everything more harmonized. So you'll see when I turn it on, it's very slight, very subtle, but it actually makes a lot of difference because it makes all the colors conform to a certain color, like a palette that you're kind of trying to work with. It just makes it, again, more harmonized, and things tend to stand out less. Like the skin color here can get more blue, but as well, if that's what I wanted to, but her pants would get more blue too because the color balance layer is making everything more blue. But you're able to control a lot more with it as well. So I can actually open it up and show you if you guys are interested. So you get your midtones. You can kind of see where I was going with that. But my shadows, they're mostly in the blue area. So chances are I'm going to go in the opposite for my highlights. So if you click here in the highlights, you can see I went more into the red, a little bit more into the yellow. I recommend doing that as well. And I'm erasing the wrong layer. Cool. So I actually really like this blue, but what we're going to do is once I'm done erasing this, I'm going to try changing it, see what it looks like as a different color. So I actually do it right now. So we got that. I'm going to just go Control U, bring up our hue saturation. I'm going to go to the yellow. That's kind of what I wanted before. I kind of like that. Like it just makes more sense with the background. The blue was nice, but maybe we can just play around. Like that's actually really cool too. Like a hard yellow. That's actually really nice. The red looks good too. So a lot of the warm colors look really good. I think I might stick with that and bring the saturation down a little bit. I'm just gonna double that layer, and it really blows it out. Just trying to see here. Not sure. Not sure. So we'll hang on and we'll see. You could noodle this stuff to death, right? I think if we stick on here too, I might get just some of the like music going in the background. So totally, totally dead when there's like nothing going on. I think that's good. I don't gotta go too perfect with it. So we'll have that. Again, I'm not sure what I was gonna do with whatever's going on. Got the lightsaber and some special effects to do here. So what I'll do is I'm gonna make one more layer on top of everything, and I just want to add just a highlight to the eyes, just to give it. So what I like to do is find a spot that I want to be the focus point, on the image. And this is gonna be a little hard to see because it's I'm gonna have to print this out to test, but the shadows here actually. Let's play around with the shadows here. I'm not sure if this purplish yellow looks good. The atmosphere is yellow, so the shadows and stuff would probably be like a red. Like to be closer to that. If that actually looks a little better. Bring the saturation down a little bit. And the way like again, I talk about this all the time, but this method here for the shadows is you just use the same color for everything, and again, it does that harmonizing that you want. Bring the shadows down a little bit because I want to be able to see it in their pants. Say like that. I will jack that up a little bit more. And the shadows on her look a little garish, so I'm gonna copy it. I always like to duplicate things in case you ever want to go back to it, right? Better off having like a duplicate of it so you don't lose it. And we're gonna grab that airbrush again. Pen pressure. And what I'm gonna do because I duplicated that is I'm just going to lightly erase just to bring the shadows down around here a little bit more. So she doesn't look like she's buried in shadow. Like it looks fine on the clothing, but on her skin, it's a little too dark. I think anyway. It can actually give a little bit of range to your shadows. Like it's one color, but just by doing like a quick pass, like up here, let's leave it dark, and then down here we can go a little lighter, so it makes it look like that's more of a cast shadow, right? And we're not really doing anything. We're just using a little bit of a eraser. That's about it. That's better. Okay, so we got that. Is there anything in this layer? No. How about this layer? No. Okay, so we're gonna go up here. I'm just gonna put SFX, and let's get that airbrush again. I'm gonna pick her skin. We're gonna play with this a little bit. We're gonna go up to make it warm. Bring it in. And with this, I'm just going to go ahead and this is where I'm going to figure out like my focus point. I want it to be her face. This is a pretty traditional way of coloring comics. I don't know if it's still done like this. I think a lot of people probably moved away from this. This is like it's like just a gradient method. And I'm just selecting areas that I don't want to get affected. So like her lips and stuff like that. The shadows. I'm just going to do like a massive selection like this first so that our first pass is a little lighter. See, like it's not much. I just want real light. See if I turn it off and put it back on, it's just very light. And then now I can come in here and again, I don't want to render this whole thing out because if you start doing a lot of this, you have to finish it. It looks really weird if it's just in a certain spot. A little hotter. so you can see it. But the most point is like her eyes and her lips here that I'm trying to really do here. So click that. Again, we'll go up to make it warmer, a little more saturated. Fill that in. These ones I got to really get pushed because you know, the image is pretty big. We need that shine to come in here. I'm just going to make the eyes a little whiter too. If we turn it off, you can kind of see the eyes a little better here. Right? Like it's just subtle work, just a little bit, just to again, just to push it. Hopefully get a little attention in there. And I'm just going to do it to her hair here as well. A lot. Also do here because this should have some light in it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll pull. We'll go over here. I'll pull some from the environment that we already got. And we'll get some bounce light from something. What do we bring in here? Blue. Zoom out a little bit. The Mara Jade, I'm not going to color her up as much, but definitely want to make her eyes a little bit more pronounced. Maybe we can get a little bit more lipstick going. And blaster rifle. So this is, I don't know if you're still in the chat or not. From this question was asked earlier, but it actually works right now too. Of when do I know I'm done? So again, I'm thinking of the phases here. What phase am I in? Right now, I feel like I'm in just it's the detail stage, right? So I'm pretty much almost done. I could walk away at any point here and it'd be considered done. And I don't want to stay here longer than I should because the more you do this stuff, the more everything needs this stuff. But I'm just trying to have it in certain spots just to make this gun pop a little bit more because, you know, she does have a lightsaber, which is cool. But she's also got a blaster rifle, which is, you know, pretty important. Just want to make sure it doesn't get lost. Zoom out just so we can see it pop a little bit more. And we'll get the hilt action. All right, cool. So we'll save that, and then we'll do this lightsaber, and hopefully the lightsaber turns out. Those are always make or break situations, eh? So I think what I'm going to do actually with it is I want to try just a blending mode. It's the easiest way you can do it, but that also can make it feel like, okay, well, that literally just looks like a blending mode. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's see if we do it here. So right click on there, I have the lightsaber on its own layer and blending options up at the top here. I'm going to do this off screen because I don't have the room on here. I need to see what we're doing. I'll bring it back on so you guys can see it. So I'm going to start with a color overlay. I believe she has a purple lightsaber. So I'm going to go with purple goes into blue. I'm going to start with a dark color because we need something for the light. In order to make something bright, it has to be on a dark background, right? So the base color here it's a purple lightsaber, but the color would fade to blue here. Then we're going to start with, what do we need? Is it an inner? We need an outer glow for sure. Let me just see something here. Maybe actually we're going to turn that off. We'll do a gradient overlay, maybe. See how that works. We want linear. I'm just going to pick a color here just so we can see it. Red and green. Align with layer. All right, so you can kind of see we've got the red up here and the green. What I'm trying to do is get it to go horizontal. All right, so what we'll do here is we're going to bring the green in the middle. And we'll pick red. This will help it so we can see a little better. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks for making it tonight, and thanks for the questions too, bud. I'm just going to turn her off there so I can see a little bit more. All right, maybe we're going this way. All right, I'm thinking about this wrong here. This is the best part with blending modes, right? You kind of have to think about it. So if we start with the color, I need the inside. Inner, okay, maybe I got it backwards here. Okay, so full opacity. This one we're going dark blue. Okay. Turn the color overlay off. We want this inner glow. Full choke. There we go. I'm going to turn the choke down so it gets really cool glow to it. All right, so that's that. Now what we want is the color overlay that's underneath. This is going to be this kick-ass purple. Hopefully kick-ass purple. Okay, so dark blue looks like it might be 2. V is saying, I remember back when you were transitioning to Manga Studio 5 and how on the fence you were. All these months later, what are your thoughts? Would the upgrade from 4 be worth it for a newbie? I'm mostly just loving the basic pencil and magic marker life. I think 4 is totally fine. I talked about it a little bit at the start of the show. I don't know why, watching some of my old stuff, and I just saw it and I was like, that's kind of cool. It's very simple. It does exactly what you need to do. I think 5 is great if you, and again, I want to and Jessup King is I'm going to try my hardest to make it 100% in Manga Studio 5. That way I don't need multiple programs for it. So in saying that, I think 5 is actually an upgrade if you want to color. I know people have done amazing things in 4, but 5 is, I call 5 a cheap version of Photoshop with the added benefit of amazing line quality. So the question might be, why am I still in Photoshop? I'm just more comfortable with it because that's what I use at my day job. And there's little things that you can do in Photoshop that I that's why I need to start playing around with Manga Studio, just because I do think that it's made better for people that want to do comic book work. But again, in saying all that, that doesn't mean 4 is garbage at all. So to answer your question, again, if you want to color and things like that, I would recommend Manga Studio 5. If you just want to stick, or if you want pencil work too, if you just want to be a penciler, I think Manga Studio 5 is the shit when it comes to that. 4 is really good for inking, and I'd say that's about it for the most part. Okay, so I'm just trying to fiddle with this here. Why? That's the worst lightsaber I've ever seen in my life. Source edge, is it center? No, we want the edge. And outer glow. So this is where it's going to get a little tricky here. I'm going to jack the opacity up, the size. So why is it still white? Oh, right. Okay, so I have this as CMYK too. So a lot of the things I would like to do, I can't. Because I know this is going to print. Or maybe, no, you totally could. I just don't know how to do them. All right, we'll stick with that. I just want to see how she looks up close. New layer here. Actually, I'll bind it down. So what I want is this darker thing. We're gonna make this one. We're gonna turn it to screen. I believe it is. Oh, this is Garbo's. Just kill that. All right, well, I'm gonna do this on my own here, so you guys don't have to suffer through this. So let's just close this layer here, or turn her back on there. Cool. All right, so this is pretty much what we got. So I just want to say thanks, guys, for everybody that stopped in tonight. Appreciate it. And hopefully this all works and it should be uploaded on YouTube. And again, if you watched it, thanks. Leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think. Just to wrap it up one more time, I'm thinking of making this switch to the stream to be here, only because it's much easier for me to upload. Production values go way down for the need for the streams anyway. So that means I can do more of them. And the downside too is that, from what I know, you guys can't chat with each other, which kind of sucks. Another plus is if you guys do like calendars and stuff on Google, we can make events and schedule it. So you guys, if you can make it, or on the fly ones, it's easier for you guys to get notified for that. But anyway, Thank you guys so much again. Really do appreciate all the help you guys gave me tonight and the wonderful questions. And if you guys are working on your own personal projects and all that stuff, I wish you the best of luck and all that good stuff. So again, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.